It's Friday, December 27th, 2024. Programming update before we get to the support.
You interrupted yourself.
I interrupted myself. Yes, because I don't want to forget, because otherwise it may be confusing. So in the last show, I had said there would be a late night to lead off 2025, but that was before we realized that we weren't going to be able to do the first show of 2025. So I have retroactively promoted Aunt Pruitt, friend of the show, to guest host for the first episode of... We didn't explicitly... I never said it was a late night. I never said it in the episode. That was its intent. But I never said it. So now, it's just going to be the first show of the year. So,
is this the show that where you just recorded? And he didn't realize that you were just recording it?
No, that is a Patreon exclusive.
Oh, yeah, that's what that is.
Okay. Sparkle. Yeah, I could have, no, I'm going to leave that one as is, because it's a very laid-back show. Plus, I'm not using my good mic. I'm using my wireless, and you can kind of hear me like pouring coffee and walking around the house ranting about all different things, because that's what I was doing. So there is that aspect to it, but the quality isn't quite as good. So you'll like hear me leaning back in the chair, and it's like, you hear stuff. I don't care. That's it. Whatever. No, this was the one we did last year when Adobe Max happened. We went over kind of the keynotes and the announcements. And
yeah. Got it.
And we did the same thing this year, and that was intended to be late night number one for 2025. But I realized I could just use it because it's still a good amount of material. We still didn't stay on one topic, so it still fits within the parameters of a Friday show. Because, I mean, not from him, from me, wandering all over the place.
The shit wanders, so it's all good, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't say anything about it being a late night. We just started recording, and then I usually do that bit later, so I just changed it. So that's the only difference in that.
This is my fault. I'm actually traveling again, so I'm actually going to be out of the country. So
at the beginning of the week, I said, I'm not doing any more fives for the rest of the year. You know what? I got too much going on. I don't care.
Oh, for the rest of this year that's ending.
Yeah, it's like 6 days. So, and I said in that, and I really do mean it. Most people probably don't care right now anyway, because people are doing stuff at the end of the year. So, is anyone really going to miss 6 episodes of 5-minute things? There's still going to be Friday shows, so I think it's fine. There's still going to be videos coming out on the YouTube channel. There's still the gameplay. It's all there. There's plenty of stuff if you really care. Incidentally, we are now loaded until October of next year, thanks to the Grand Theft Auto videos. So I've already uploaded 21 of those.
Are those funny? I don't know. Are they good? Are they fun to watch? I can't tell because there's a lot of downtime in that game, and then there's time where things are just ridiculous.
No, I don't record a lot of the downtime. The first couple, there's us wandering around, but there's only one after the first 2 or 3 where basically when we start a mission, I hit record. When the mission passes, I stop recording. And so I have them now segmented that way. So whether they're entertaining or not, I don't know. But most of them are around 30 minutes now. They're not an hour plus anymore for the most part, except the ones that we failed and kept retrying. Those I just leave in because I think, it's funny. But there's the one where I think I killed the Mach 5 the first time. I think there's the one where we're shooting up into space. The thing that's probably most amusing is to see how our outfits keep radically changing.
Oh, we get changed every night we play. We
Just
both
about.
get changed like we're going out with friends, which is exactly what we're doing. So I always change my and the thing is early on I had a face, and then once
early
I
on
found
you were a juggalo, and then now you're a dinosaur.
And now once I found the dinosaur masks and all the different colors, that's all I play. I don't care. I'm King Koopa. Yeah, and you have your actually you got a pretty good run of making it a Two-Face character.
Yeah.
Like it isn't Two-Face, but when you look at it from a distance, it looks like it's Two-Face.
If you're not close, you could be fooled.
Yeah, it's
pretty funny. When you get up close, you notice that it's not really. Yeah, it's unfortunately I'm kind of surprised that there's some basic options that would work better that they don't have. But whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter. So anyway, there's plenty of that stuff.
I'm sure it'll be there in the next one.
I would bet there will be some kind of more detailed character creation thing. I have a hunch.
Hopefully they'll borrow something from Saints Row.
They did this time. Yeah, I wish that'd be great. That
you can make anything.
That, as we said, because there is a bunch of those on the channel as well. We really enjoyed that game. I know a lot of people apparently didn't. I don't get it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's stupid, but
it's
honestly,
stupid fun.
No stupider than Grand Theft Auto is. If I'm just being honest.
Yeah, and honestly,
I don't remember either of them.
It's Grand Theft Auto's attempt not to be stupid that bores me.
Yes.
It's when it's the most stupid that I have a great time. And I don't know if you haven't me recorded saying it, but I've said it to you many times afterwards. Buying the Mach 5 is one of the most amazing things I did in that game.
Oh,
because
I'm sure one of the recordings has it.
I get endless amounts of joy just with the mayhem that car creates. Jumping and shuttling off into orbit with it. It's fucking amazing. And that's the thing is, the more absurd it becomes, the happier I am. So I'm a dinosaur head with the Mach 5, and I got a railgun now. I can't wait to blow shit up with that. That'll be fun.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's what I want to. I don't want to overdo the show tonight because I specifically want to go railgun shooting in GTA.
That's fine.
Is that terrible?
No. Listen, I completely understand that. I had that with Stalker 2, where I
wanted
to get back to it. So, I understand it. I want to start off with something very, very completely meaningless and lightweight, but nonetheless something that I think, yes.
I have to warn you, my recorder just stopped for some reason at 4 minutes. Where are you at?
I'm at 6 minutes and 20 minutes.
If I hit record,
mine,
so if I hit record now, will that help? Or should I just leave it dead?
No, go ahead and record.
Okay, I don't know why it stopped.
That's fine.
That's really weird.
Is it going again?
It's going now fine, yeah.
Right.
Weird, yeah. It just stopped for some reason.
Well, your mic didn't switch. I'm still hearing you, okay? So
No.
Whoa,
it's
jeez. Oh, I see what it opened. I'm like, why did it open this huge text file? It's my notes from the Adobe Max thing. I don't... This is a very, very quick nitpick before we get to my first thing. I don't like how Mac handles text documents. I don't like the fact that when you open a new text file, it somehow thinks you want to see your last one. And as far as I can tell, I don't know why it does it. Or maybe it's a setting. But if it is a setting, it's a default one and it's stupid. So
I feel bad now because our recordings are going to be totally out of sync for you. That's annoying.
No, I noted when you start it up again. They'll be in sync from the beginning, and then they'll just stop, and I'll just cut you. No, please, this is nothing.
Minor compared to other bullshit we've had.
Very, very minor. So 926. There we go. I'm just keeping a text file open in case it happens again. Keep an eye on it. Just keep it at the bottom of your screen so you can see it. If it blips out again, we'll just keep.
Yep, I'll keep an eye. Well, nonetheless, GTA Online has actually been a lot of fun. The more silly they let you get.
Yes. Oh, I agree.
But it does get. I mean, but the thing is, it does get repetitive, and in the end, we are doing it because the game we really want to play is now yet.
Yeah, that's true. This is very much a placeholder game. So,
it is, yeah.
This is an adorable little article on a site that I quite like. This is basically a site that got started up by people who left some other gaming sites because they were unhappy with the working conditions. They've started their own site called Aftermath. And I saw this article that just said, congratulations to SanDisk on a rebranding that rules. And I went, oh, okay, this is up my alley because I like this type of stuff.
Oh, did they just change their...
look at the new logo. They said, this is something you would see in Cyberpunk. This is great. This is something you would see in a future movie. And it is. It's.
Oh, the bottom one from the two is the new one, right?
Yeah, the second one, yeah.
Yeah.
But then watch the
It's
commercial
cool, it's
too.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that looks like something you would see on a holographic, image
I
sideways on a
hate
building.
to say this about SanDisk. I guess the thing with them is that I like their products, so I don't pay attention to their logo.
No, that's the thing is, I like the product already, and now they have a nice
Yeah.
logo that I like a lot better than their old one. But even the commercial feels like it's from 20 years from now. It feels like some kind of psychotic,
You plug these chips. Well, listen,
Tron
if in the
Legacy
future,
thing.
if in the future there's plug-in chips for your head, it'll probably be SanDisk you're plugging into your head.
It might be.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out
That's
because
funny.
it's a very nice redesign.
what
and
is
it looks,
what is Aftermath, by the way? It's just
it's mostly a gaming site, but they dip into lots of things. It's a very, very good site. It's mostly games, but they do get into weird stuff sometimes. Like they were talking about the Day of the Jackal series. That's great, even though its central premise is doofy. They still said, "Oh, it's still watching though," or worth watching. And they talked about how they like the fact that Indiana Jones is in the video game is basically barely able to even stand most of the time. Because the guy's like, yeah, I'm a guy going on 40, and I can't swing from a whip, so it's good that Indiana Jones seems like he can barely do anything. The title of the thing is A Wheezy Indiana Jones is incredibly relatable. Yeah, no kidding. So,
well,
like I said,
but that's always true. The reality is we relate more to people who are feeble because most of us are pretty feeble.
Well, yeah,
So,
but a lot of games
like
don't want to do that.
I know. Well, like most superhero characters. Well, most video game characters are superhuman.
Yeah, and they're
You know?
usually like 20 to 22. You don't see,
Yeah.
or if they're not, like Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4 is a parody. He's supposed to be like 70, and yet he's doing just crazy flips and everything. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, Aftermath's a really good site.
You know what?
I will
say this though.
Very heavy opinion to it, which I
After
enjoy.
watching that old man, with Jeff Bridges, right, and the way they present him as this older spy, essentially, like it's good. Watch some of the clips with him in the fight sequences. I mean, they use body doubles as much as they can, but the way they handle Jeff Bridges in that show, yeah, he would play a pretty good older Solid Snake.
Sure.
And they've figured out how to, like, he is both dangerous and also gets his ass kicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, I just totally lost my mouth. You're on this Aftermath site. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
And they're linking to something I want to talk about, which is the new Superman
Oh,
trailer.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the world. They have an article here called "The World Needs Superman,"
Which is correct.
and it was funny because the new trailer came out, and I like it. Right, I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm always hopeful for good DC content, and I like the fact that James Gunn has done away with Origins. He's just like, we're just gonna go into it, and I hope he does. I hope he just goes full head into a world of DC heroes. So hey, you know what? This is the world. We're fine. Come with me, because there's a lot of people in the trailer, and man, have you seen any of the kind of screen caps of Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner?
He looks so bad.
He looks so funny.
Which is good. It's good. I mean,
I think that's the point. But yeah, he looks
is supposed
so
to look
doofy.
bad. That is not supposed to be a cool haircut. I mean,
No, it's not. It never was.
The astonishing thing, the only thing that I'm very curious about, I'll be honest, is Nathan Fillion is generally known to be a good guy, and he's like the fun guy.
No, but he can play a brute though.
Well, I'm
Like,
just curious. Are they going to make you really hate him?
Well,
I don't know.
Guy Gardner,
this is not a
you kind
complaint.
of hate him, but you kind of like him at the same time.
And that's where I'm going towards. Is it's a tricky balance with Guy Gardner because at one point you asked me if he was ever a full villain.
I didn't know
I
that
think-
he went full
Yeah, and he
villain
was.
at any point.
And he was. I mean, he was basically
Listen.
a lantern who was jealous. That was his whole thing.
In the
that-
Human
and he got
Target
villains.
series, that was it. Alan King who did that, or Tom King who did that? I think it's Tom King who did the Human Target.
You might be right. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Guy Gardner is kind of one of the asshole issues of the book, because Human Target is with Ice, and Ice is like the ex-girlfriend of Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
So Guy Gardner is hugely jealous, and he's an asshole through most of the book. And the way they handle Guy Gardner, he comes off brutish, and he comes off like a real asshole. But at the same time, you realize that he's coming off as an asshole to a guy who he thinks is fucking his ex-girlfriend that he still has a thing for. So of course he's going to be an asshole. Whereas to the people around him, they are his friends. He doesn't act like an asshole to them. Do you know what I mean? So they actually handle that really well in the book. Whereas like Guy Gardner to his friends is a cool guy, bit of a dick sometimes, but a cool guy. Whereas to the people he doesn't like, yeah, he's a huge dick. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't play nice. He shows up and he's like, "Hey, buddy, fuck you," you know. So that was handled pretty well in that book. But I'm actually excited. I'm hopefully excited for the new Superman movie. Plus, I know the second that motherfucker whistled for his dog, that they had you by the short hairs.
Oh, they had me.
And
instantly.
I read something that's going to make you even more happy about it.
Yeah.
Which is that James Gunn said that when he started writing the script for this was during lockdown, and he had adopted a dog at that point, and having the dog in his life changed the way he wrote the script, and he actually found himself putting Crypto more in the movie than he would have because he loved having this dog as much as he did.
Good.
And I was like, oh, interesting. I was like, because you were like, I hope he doesn't waste the dog, and I'm like, no, I don't think he's going to waste the dog at all. I mean, honestly, he might beat Crypto up because there's going to be fighting, but Crypto can't kill Crypto.
Yeah, Crypto can take it. It's fine.
Yeah, Crypto's super. He's a Kryptonian dog, isn't he? Isn't that what it is?
He is. No, that's exactly. That's why he comes and he has superpowers. Yeah.
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 So, but yeah, I like that. I like the look of it. I think the weird thing for me though is look at that guy who's playing Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Does he not look a lot like Hayden Christensen?
He does. Yes.
There's a few shots in there where I'm like, oh my god, that's Anakin.
Well, yeah, like when he's in the it very much when he's walking in the first kind of openings where he's the Clark Kent.
Yeah,
he looks exactly like him.
Have you seen this guy in anything else? Do you have any?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, because the thing is, by the time what's his name, Henry Cavill was Superman, I'd seen him in other stuff. So like I already knew that the guy could act.
I don't.
Do you know what I mean?
Hold on, let's see. Do I know him from anything? Let me take a look. I could be wrong. I didn't recognize him, but that doesn't mean. Let's see. What's his name? His name is. I don't care about that. What's the new guy's name? Peter Safran? Yeah, I think that's Peter Safran. That's the guy's name.
Trying to click lightly over here.
I mean, he does look. He looks kind of like a blend.
His name is David Cornsweet.
Oh my, David Cornsweet.
Cornsweet. Corenswet.
Oh my God, Cornsweet. That's
amazing. He is, but man, he's 6'4". Jesus.
Oh, Cornsweet. Okay, let me take a look
Corin
at this guy.
Sweat.
Oh, jeez.
Honestly, it's probably pronounced like Corensway or something like that.
Yeah,
but when you look at it, it's like Corensweat.
Corensay or something.
Or Cornswet.
Let's
it
see.
could be
Have I
Cornsweat.
seen this guy in anything? The answer is no. I've not seen him in jack nor shit.
Hold on.
Nope. He was in Twisters, I guess. No, I mean, there's movies in here
was
that.
He?
Yeah. It says Twisters.
I wonder if he's just a secondary.
He was in Pearl, which I haven't seen yet, so I keep meaning to see those. I keep hearing those are really good. Yeah, no, but what's interesting is he looks like in the Superman trailer. There's parts where he looks like a blend of the Angel guy and Tom Holland. Looks like those two had a child.
David Boreanaz?
Boreanaz and Tom Holland, the Spider-Man guy. Like when you look at his face, he looks like he's kind of swirled together.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I mean, he was in House of Cards for one episode.
Yeah, and I don't even remember that.
And it sounds like he's done a lot of extra work here. Yeah. Because I don't remember him in Twisters at all.
That's good. That's good. I'm always kind of happier when they go with somebody who I don't know. It's not a bad thing.
Well, it'll be interesting
because it lets you really see them as the character as opposed to.
Yeah, first.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You and I agreed that Henry Cavill was a great choice, and he was let down by terrible movies, so it's not his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, he is probably. I will be honest. I think Henry Cavill, outside of Christopher Reeve, looked the best as Superman. So it's a shame.
I really like Brandon Routh, and I only like Brandon Routh because Brandon Routh did not make his own Superman. He was making Christopher Reeve. So
and that's kind of why I don't place that higher, is because he wasn't doing his own thing. Cavill was.
But I like him. I like the fact that he was extending Christopher Reeve, and that's why I like him. But no, it wasn't original. It wasn't his take on it.
Right,
yeah.
that's the
Whereas
thing.
Henry Cavill, one of my biggest issues with Henry Cavill is that his fucking thighs were so big that in the Superman costume there was like a strange like.
Yeah, my issue like Godzilla, the new Godzilla, where he has these big thighs, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, my issue with Superman is because Superman is. I like Christopher Reeve's Superman because they had the idea that Superman's strength doesn't come from his muscles; they come from the fact that he's Kryptonian. So he doesn't need to be a huge guy because even average-sized Kryptonian muscles will rip you apart.
Correct.
And it wasn't until we got to like in the comics where suddenly everybody was jacked that they were like, "Oh wait, everybody has to be jacked." And you're like, you know what? Superman doesn't have to be jacked at all. Right. That's what. And Christopher Reeve was athletic, but he wasn't like bodybuilder. Whereas Henry Cavill was fit as fuck. And I mean, I know it looks good, but he had super thighs. Yeah, he sure did.
That's true.
So, yeah, and this guy, honestly, I like the choice of this guy because he's big, but he doesn't look like he's a CrossFit fanatic or something like that, you know? Yeah. And the thing is, I like Cavill big in other roles, like as The Witcher, him being hugely strong works perfectly. But for Superman, it's like he doesn't need to be. Like I want Henry Cavill to be Wolverine now. I think he'd be perfect for that.
Sure.
Take over from the supreme jackness of Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
But I did enjoy the trailer, and I like that they used the original music in electric form, and there's a lot of fan service in there. Mm-hmm. So I'm so hoping that DC gives Gunn the chance to be the Kevin Feige of DC, that they back off for a bit and just let him build the universe because he can. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
In a time where there was no galactic level of Marvel movies, he built the galactic level of Marvel movies. He did everything beyond Earth. It was his.
Well, they sure as hell put that front and center, didn't they? In that trailer, the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, they mentioned another thing he does.
I know. They were like, not Suicide Squad, which is one of their movies.
No, that's what I was just about to say. They don't mention any of the DC
Marvel.
properties.
No, he did Marvel movies. We're good.
Remember that good Marvel movie? Remember it? He did it. Remember? Please remember.
So no, I hope it's good because I want to enjoy Superman movies again, and it doesn't look grim and it doesn't look sad and it doesn't look all like the colors aren't fucking drained of joy and I mean you got Mr. Terrific there, Guy Gardner who looks just ridiculous. It's gonna be,
yes it does.
If nothing else, it'll look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have something else, or you want me to continue?
No. My only thing was the SanDisk thing. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Well, I have a few.
Well, until my movie review, but that's the end. So I have nothing.
Yeah, I have some quick reviews. Right. My reviews aren't like yours. I don't get into them honestly. I'm not as good at getting into the details as you do. That is a skill that you have that I enjoy. So I watched the next episode of Skeleton Crew because the third one came out. Oh, did the other one come out already?
It's out.
Son of a bitch!
It was out when you told me about it. I looked and I thought,
yeah.
They're both
the problem is I watch them with my kids, and my kids and I have this giant schedule of shows that we watch at this point because we watch Doctor Who and we watch Skeleton Crew.
Well, I didn't plan to, but the way the third one ended, I was like, well, okay, where are we going here?
Well, the thing is, you'd had this fear that they were going to lean into the Jedi thing, and I was so happy that in the third episode they just pushed that shit right out the door. They're like, he's not a fucking Jedi, he's a pirate. Well,
I do like the fact that Fern is very, very quickly is like, yeah, I don't know anything, you're just jumping to that, and that's great because she's very suspicious, as she should be. I mean, they're very intelligently packing her with know-how and smarts and suspicion. They're not calling attention to it. We're like, you're just so paranoid about everything. Like, they're not saying it. They just have her behavior.
No, but the one kid is so
she's
gung-ho.
wary.
He's so gung-ho to find a Jedi, to make it, something amazing, that he's not paying attention to the fact that you were on a pirate island, essentially in space. You've picked up a pirate. Yes, right. And I think what it is that it draws attention to the fact that most people don't realize that you can have force powers and not be a Jedi. Yeah. But I also think that it's a huge deal that we're dealing with a planet that is Old Republic. That was one of the neat, like, nobody else in the room gave a shit about this because they don't really know a lot about the expanded. But for me, I was like, oh shit, this is a planet from the Old Republic. I was like, these people are playing on Old Republic rules, because they don't call it the New Republic, which is what everybody else does. They call it the Republic. It's not old yet to them because they're still their planet has been hidden. Yeah. And they're still functioning on Old Republic rules. They are the Republic. So I really like that, because that kind of opens up a lot of weird shit that can happen now, because the Old Republic had a lot of... I wonder if that's, to some degree, why it feels so strange. There's such a locked-in, sedentary nature to that planet. And it's like, well, yeah, if no one's gone anywhere since, the Old Republic... Right. Well, then, yeah, everything would be really quite tame, wouldn't it? You've got no off-worlds coming in. No, and you've got this huge shield, and everyone's just there, keeping whatever it is there going. And essentially, it looks like I wonder if they're just ruled. Like, I think you said that it's as if they're ruled by robots. Oh
yes, and that definitely comes into play. I guess it must be in the fourth. See, that's. Now that I'm watching these 2 episodes at a time, they blend together, so I don't really know where one ends and where the other starts.
Well, before you start with that, do you agree that the owl design was a bit lazy?
I have to admit, I love the owl.
I like the character, but I wish they did
it was fun.
More.
You know what it felt like? That felt like Muppet design, and I'm okay with that. This felt, because you have to remember, it is aimed at kids.
Yeah.
So I think that feels like a Muppet design. That this is something that you could actually build a Muppet or a toy of to sell. And this is the thing. This is the Ewok. This is that thing.
Okay, so
this is the
toy. Got it.
Right. And the funny part is, I didn't know what the creature was going to look like. I know what you described, but I thought it was a humanoid owl.
No,
I was
it's an
expecting
owl.
a person with feathers and an owl head. And so when this little thing comes out, I was delighted.
Yeah. Okay, then you had a different response than I did. I looked at the design and I thought, I like the character, but I just wish you'd done more with it than just give me an owl.
Well, that's the thing, right? So there is a difference that often happens in Star Wars.
But when he grabs that fucking thing and chucks it, I was like, whoa!
Yeah. Well, I like that. I like the fact that there's a couple ways. There's 2 things. There's a couple ways that a character like that can be played, and one of the things that annoys me, because as the audience we know right away, is when they are very careful to hide the things they're doing so that the other characters can't see them.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he doesn't have that control, so he's lashing out in ways that will only make Fern more suspicious of him.
Yeah.
Is it Fern?
Yeah.
Is that her name? Fern, right? It's Fern, isn't it? Is that the character's name? I want to make sure I'm saying the right name.
The lead girl, or the girl with the cyber?
The captain. The captain. No, captain.
I think it's
Fern.
Captain
is the. Yeah, Fern is the captain. Cyber girl, I'll just call Cyber girl. But yeah, when he chucks her, that can't look to Fern like he's a good guy.
No, he grabs her and throws her into the books.
Right. And the whole thing, and she's on. This is what I mean about she's really. They are very smart in how they're demonstrating her intelligence and her perception, because she says, "Why did you land all the way back there?" So that they can't see. Like, she's clocking everything he's doing.
Yeah.
And then the thing with SM-33 is great too, because you told me about that, where he's sitting in the background.
Oh yeah,
like,
where they're like, "You work for us," and he's like, "Yeah," and then you see Shmi in the background with the torch, being like, "Yeah, you work for them."
That's all over with in the next episode. Man, they flipped the whole show around in episode 4.
Really?
Yes.
Go on then.
Okay, so what they do is at the end of because the thing with the X-wings happens, and it's like you said, that they don't shoot because there's kids.
Of the kids, yeah.
Which I like, because Owl Woman's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, oh, I can't shoot at kids. So they warp to what they think is at Aden. It looks right. It looks like it's the right area. The planet looks the same. And then they land. And what it ends up being is they did a version of, oh, God, what was the movie where they did this? Oh, they did SETI Alpha 5. So they get there, and everything looks right, except it's blown to shit. And at first I thought that they traveled through time. I thought something happened or that the planet got blown up.
Yeah,
because they're seeing all the right kind of foliage and everything else, and they're sure it's the right planet. And then they realize it's one of the sister planets that is in the middle of some kind of eternal war, or has been going on and on and on, where all the kids, a lot of the adults are dead, and now the kids are like child soldiers. And and the weird part is, and they started putting little Phantom Menace, like episode 1 stuff in, because you notice that one of the robots, when he's looking for Smee, is the old the Roger droid.
Yeah.
I noticed
that makes an appearance though when they're on the pirate island too.
Yes, but and then this, it's even more, because it's the things, the creatures that they're at war over are the episode 1 horse things. I don't know what how to describe. They're like weird anteater horses, and I recognize them because I always thought, you want to talk about a dopey design. I never liked the design of those. That'll make the owl look like fucking the mechanical owl from Clash of the Titans. Yeah, it's gonna look like that. So, and I'm like, oh, those are the episode 1 things. Why the hell are they? Because those were Tatooine creatures. So I don't know what the hell they're doing there. I don't know what's going on, but essentially. They're stuck in this eternal war, and they finally managed to like settle the war by basically arranging to buy the horses and give them back to the other people. And then they find that there's a map, or like a star system map, that has all these other planets except for Aden, which has been scratched out. And then SM-33 says that he destroyed it, but his memory's been wiped. And so then Fern starts talking to him, and she's trying to figure something out by the way he's talking. And he's like, and he says something about, I can't remember the language exactly, but he's saying something, and she figures out that the reason he's saying I must not remember anything is because he was ordered to forget. So she says, I order you to remember. And like he reels back, and all this shit happens, and then he says, yes, now I remember, and I was given an order to kill anyone who tries to find it. And he starts to go to kill the kids. And the only reason he stopped, he keeps going, I'm going to rip you limb from, like he's turned into a death bot. Because his order was, if anybody unscrambles your brain, kill them immediately. And so, what's his face? Not a Jedi shuts him off.
And he's basically Space Captain Jack. They even call him Jack. He's Crimson Jack. They couldn't even come up with a different name from Johnny Depp's pirate. He's Jack. Okay. He's Space Jack Sparrow. Yes. He's Jack Space. So
I'm just gonna call him not a Jude.
Not a Jedi.
Not a Jedi. Not a Jedi shuts him off, and then the episode ends. But man, he was going to kill all the kids, and so he is now. I assume they're going to reprogram him. But man, the 4th episode is so different from everything else, because they get this the Eternal War planet is just misery.
Well, they're going to different islands. Essentially, is what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and this is where it gets episodic, where they're going to different islands trying to find their own home island.
Right.
Except they're planets. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's what it is. The show title actually has what he says. Can't say I remember no at Aden. And he keeps saying that, and that's when she figures out that somebody must have ordered it because of what he's saying over and over, and then she does the order. Which I said, I like her because they keep proving that she's smart. Without somebody saying, boy, you were the smartest girl in class and you're still really smart. It's a good thing you're with us. Like, they don't do any of that overwrought shit that tends to bug me. So I like that they're just having her demonstrate her competency as opposed to us being told that she's competent.
Well, they're showing you, they're not telling you, which is a great skill to have.
Yeah, and what they've done very effectively now, I've realized, and I didn't pick this up right away, is each of the kids is the essential part. This is kind of the magic 4. They have to all be together to make this work. So each of them has a skill or a personality that will help them in different situations, which I think is great. So I'm enjoying it. I don't know where it's going.
No, I honestly have no fucking idea where it's going, and that's great. I'm happy with that. I just want them to keep it, silo it off. You don't need to tie this into anything else. Yep. Like, we're good. We're in the ass end of space. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, but I wanted to talk about another show that came to an end for me as I finally finished it, which was, we had talked about The Diplomat and how it was a pretty good successor for West Wing. And I have now finished Diplomat. And I understand that I finished the second season. They are getting a third season, which they will need because they do cliffhanger the fuck out of the end of season 2. Yes and no. Essentially, in season 2, you realize that the vice president is the person who planned the false flag in England. Planned it and then handed it off to British operatives. And she was supposed to be out. The whole premise of the show was that she was supposed to be out for other reasons, and that the diplomat was going to take her position as the VP, and whether or not she could be presentable in that role. And then the finale of the second season is that her husband, who's the other diplomat, is supposed to tell the Secretary of State that they've uncovered the fact that the VP is responsible for all this shit. But because he's overly clever, he goes, fuck that. I'll go to the president and I'll let the president deal with this. But when he tells the president gets so fucking pissed off that he has a heart attack and he dies. And the conclusion of the episode is that the VP, who's supposed to be out, is now the president. And what I was hoping is that she still taps the diplomat to be the VP, and now the diplomat is working under a president that they don't trust. But the VP is played by, was it Allison Janney? That's
Allison Janney. Yep.
Allison Janney.
CJ Craig.
And she is so good in this role. She knows how to play it sweet, but when she gets pissed off, she knows how to play it hard. And there's a really great part in there where she realizes that the diplomat knows what she did. And rather than back away from it, rather than try to be nice about it, she takes into her room, she puts a big map up, and she just fucking spells out the world crisis for her and says, hey, this is the situation that I have to deal with. She's like, nobody else is making a decision. This is what I had to do. And I feel bad that I had to do it, but somebody did. And the thing is, when she starts talking about these decisions that she's making, you're not 100% against her. You know that it's wrong, right? But it isn't a stupid act of villainy. It's not hey, it'd be really funny. Let's have a false flag and blow up some sailors. No, it's her whole thing is that if I guess the only naval base that can take atomic or nuclear submarines in the northern area is in Scotland, and if Scotland votes for independence and leaves the UK, they will revoke that base, and the US will no longer have a base in the north to run operations against the Russians, who are apparently encroaching ocean-wise in our territory. There's a lot more activity, and there'd be no stopover point for the US to basically work out of. So the way she saw it was, well, we need the UK to stay a UK. The second you start breaking up democracies, you have smaller powers. So her whole thing was, we should have a false flag. We should have a false flag and make the Scottish go, hey, no, you know what? We're glad to be part of the UK. And then the issue is that when they did the false flag, they used the wrong explosives. And so there should have been a small hole in an aircraft carrier. Instead, they blew up I think it's 40 soldiers. And everybody feels bad about it. That's the other funny thing, is that when you talk to these people who've done this, they all feel bad that people died. But they're also 100% adamant in the logic of what they did and why they did it. And they accept that there's a guilt, and they accept that they'll live with it. It's the kind of villainy that I like. It's the kind of villainy that when you hear the argument, you're like, you know what? I kind of understand. I know it's wrong, but I kind of get it. And when the VP shows up and starts interacting with the diplomat, even in the beginning, before the diplomat realizes that the VP is the one that did it, the diplomat doesn't think she should leave her job either. She's like, you know what? She's really good at this. I don't see why she should leave. She should stay. And it's her husband who knows that says she can't stay. She's the one that planned it in the first place. So I enjoy all these different angles, and the fact that it's like nobody's wrong. Everyone just has their own version of the truth. And I like when they write that way, because you can't just clear cut anybody into, good or bad. Everybody's got their own agenda, and they're beginning to figure out what it is. And some people are weak and some people are stronger, and some people have a stronger sense of what they think their right and wrong is. I mean, and no one's wrong about it. Everyone's right in their own way. You just have to decide which argument you're going for. And so because of that, when the VP becomes the president at the end, I think I said to you, if I'd found out there was no third season, I think I would have been happy with the narrative I would have created in my own head. I like the idea that she makes the diplomat the VP nonetheless. But they are getting a third season, so we'll see what happens. I'm glad they're getting a third season. The writing is kept up, and it's still one of those shows that isn't miserable while still having bad things happen. Do you know what I mean? This is like I'm having a really hard time watching Breaking Bad, because it's just such a fucking miserable show. Mm-hmm. And like, I get to the end of the night and I'm like, I know that this is a really well-written show, and I know that it's fantastic, but it's fucking misery porn.
Yes,
where it's like, I need to watch a show that's got like bad and good, like some comedy, some tragedy. Like, I need more of a balance, and like Breaking Bad is just way too much tragedy for me. So I'm very happy that it's getting another season. I know that it's probably not coming for a while, but it's on the back burner for when it comes out. I will watch it. So, but you may want to wait till the third season's out before you even remotely look at it.
Oh yeah, I'll wait. Not really.
So, but Allison, they're bringing in alumni from West Wing. I'm waiting for Toby to show up. Really want Toby to show up.
He might.
I don't know as what, but I want Toby to show up as something. What's that?
They can always write him in somehow.
I wanted to be the head of the CIA. We haven't met the head of the CIA yet.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
I want him to be the head of the CIA.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Now.
And apparently the new season is filming in both New York and London. So I'm hoping that there's like more back and forth action going on.
It could be.
So yeah, it's been a delight to watch in the same way that watching West Wing was. And 2 seasons in, it's still a delight. I'm looking forward to the third season. So, I mean, honestly, I feel kind of lucky here. I mean, outside of politics, which is fucked, thematically or theatrically, I'm feeling very positive, because Skeleton Crew's been good. Diplomat was great. The Superman trailer looks good. I mean, there's a lot of positive, well done, well written things to watch out there. So it's kind of a nice way to end the year outside of the political mayhem that exists. Or maybe in despite of it. Right. And that's all I got for you.
Okay. Well, I have a
Did your wife just whisper something to you?
Well, no, she came in the room.
Oh yeah, I thought I heard her.
She's going to the store.
I was wondering if I actually heard her in the background.
No, she didn't say anything. No.
Oh, okay. It's like when you have the, what do you call it, the background noise from the from the city. And you can yeah. And you almost think you hear somebody.
Sort of hear something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last show somebody was arguing about hot dogs or something like that. And like, I just heard it.
It was just at this weird opportune moment that you heard
it.
It was just the timing of it. Yeah.
So what do you got, sir?
So I watched I didn't sound clip this because I couldn't tell for sure, but I feel like this movie is in both Spanish and Italian at the same time. I don't know if different characters were speaking different languages. It was all subtitled, so it was fine. But there were parts where I'm like, oh no, that's Spanish. And then parts where I'm like, no, that's Italian. And I couldn't tell. And there are Spanish and Italian actors in it. So I really don't know. But the name of the movie is El Dia de la Bestia, which is Spanish, as far as I can tell.
La Bestia, the day of being bested?
No, the Day of the Beast.
Hold on. Oh, Jesus, the way you said it, man. Hold on.
Well, I can't speak fluent Spanish. You know this. The only weird part, El Dia de la Bestia. That's how it's spelled.
First off, it shouldn't be El Dia. It should be La Dia.
Well, maybe it is. See, this is what I mean. This is weird because the language says Spanish and Italian, so I can't tell.
Weird.
And the country it was made in, Spain and Italy, like it's both. So I don't know.
And for you, it doesn't matter because you've got subtitles for all of it. Wait, but do the characters in the movie all understand each other, or are they speaking different languages?
Yes, they seem to understand each other. So I don't understand it because I don't know if that's because it is technically a comedy, and there are funny bits, but there's also, I mean, I looked in the trivia, and I don't see anything that I've been like looking, and I don't see anything that indicates whether it's in two languages, but I feel like it is, and maybe it's because here Spanish comedy horror, right? But okay, so isn't the title wrong? Because I thought that too. I'm like, El Dia doesn't seem right. Shouldn't it be La Dia?
I would think.
Because
I mean, Dia is a feminine word, so it would be a feminine.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so it was. Interesting. A Spanish-Italian 80%, 20% co-production. Yeah, but nothing says.
Whatever. I could be wrong.
Well, no. I think you may be right. Here, let me try this.
Hold on one second. I have an idea. I will solve this for you.
Are you gonna ask something?
No, I'm looking something up.
Are you gonna ask something?
What
a sentence. Are you gonna ask something? Yeah, sure I am.
Yeah.
All right, let's do an. Oh no, that says Spanish. When I put the title into translate, it says Spanish detected.
Yes, it's correct.
So
it is correct.
Okay.
Because what I looked up was Dia de los Muertos. It is El Dia de los Muertos. So even though even though it's a feminine word, it's got a
oh, you know
masculine.
What? I see why there's the two languages. Okay, this makes sense. I was wondering about this. Okay, so the one character is Italian. And that's why everybody's speaking to him in Italian and he's speaking Italian, but he does apparently switch to Spanish. All right, this makes that was the only thing that made sense, but I don't remember something officially saying that, so I wasn't sure. So okay, anyway, so movie starts out, and it's we see two priests in a church with a giant stone cross in front of them, and the one priest goes up to the other and basically says, "Hey, I finally figured it out." And the other priest says, "Figured what out?" He says, "The apocalypse." And the guy's like, "Yeah, okay. Everybody's figured it out. Yeah, just join the club." He's like, No. They were doing it all wrong. I've got it figured out." He's like, "Listen." He leans in and whispers. So we don't know what he's what he's saying yet. But he says, "We have to act right now. Will you help me?" And the old priest says, "Yeah, of course I'll help you." And they go to walk out, at which point the giant stone cross falls over and kills the old priest. So that's the immediate start of the movie, is this thing where the old priest gets killed right away. So the young priest, who we find out is not only a priest but a theology professor, goes to Madrid because whatever he's found says that it's got to be somewhere in Madrid. And so we get this whole opening montage where he's going around and he's doing all these terrible things. So he goes and there's somebody who's asking for money and she's pregnant, and he basically just ignores her. Then we see somebody who's got some kind of physical disability, and they're on the ground and they can't walk, and he takes all the money out of the guy's suitcase. And then there's somebody who got into a car accident and he's about to die, and they're like, give him the last rites, and he goes over to him and he leans over and takes his wallet and says, "I hope you rot in hell," and then walks away from him, and then puts a devil card in his wallet so they'll think he's a Satanist. And he's doing all there's a mime. The best one is the mime. There's a mime that's doing a thing right over what looks like a subway stairwell. And he pushes him down the stairwell, just casually pushes him. And the guy falls over and you just hear him going, down the stairs. And so this guy's walking along. You don't know what's going on. And then he sees the TV. And the TV has two things. First, there's a news report that in Madrid there is a gang that is going around that the police are looking for that is basically killing homeless people. They call them tramps, but that's the European word for the homeless. I figured that out from the IT crowd. So they're killing these homeless people by either beating them to death or lighting them on fire and burning them alive. So that's the news report. But then it switches to a advertisement for a show that's essentially, do you remember in Ghostbusters 2 what Venkman was doing at the beginning where he's like the paranormal hack?
Yeah.
Okay, it's like that. It's a paranormal show, but the lead is if this was played, remember David Tennant played that magician, the Chris Angel magician?
Yes.
Okay, this looks like that.
In Fright Night. Fright Night,
yes,
right?
Fright Night, exactly. If they remade this, David Tennant would play this character because he looks exactly the same. And I mean, this guy is awesome. The guy they got to play, the character's name is Professor Kavan, who runs this show. And it's like, he says, I can predict the future, I'm a master of the occult, all this stuff. And he sees that. And the guy's talking about like how he communes with the devil and all this stuff. And you see he's paying attention to him. And he's like, he kind of notes him. And so he's going along and he goes into a record store. And he says, the guy at the record store is a heavy metal head, like this big biker-looking guy, lots of piercings, wearing the jacket with all the spikes on it and everything else. And he says, I need some heavy metal. What can you recommend? And he's like, oh, look over there. And he's like, all right, play this. And the guy starts playing. He's like, play it backwards. He's like, all right, that's going to sound the same backwards. And he plays it backwards. He's like, no, that's not it. He's like, I need something heavier. And the guy's like, really? Okay, here. There's this local band named Satanica. And, you can go see him live. And he's like, okay. And he takes the thing and he says, I don't really have anywhere to stay. And the guy's like, oh, well, you're in luck. My mother runs a hostel nearby. It's not in a great part of town, but you can stay there cheap. He's like, okay. So he goes and he's staying in this hostel. And the characters in this hostel are fantastic. The mother is one of the biggest ball-busting mothers you've ever seen in a movie. She is merciless. She's great. So he's staying there. And there's the girlfriend. So that's the mother of the heavy metal guy in the record store. And his girlfriend is also staying there. But, the girlfriend is not really his girlfriend. I think she just is. You kind of figure out that she's not really his girlfriend. He's wishing she was his girlfriend. But they're all in the same place. And then his grandfather lives there. His grandfather who walks around completely naked except for a shirt. So you will see full frontal of an older man. Be prepared. You're going to see a lot of it. And he just walks along, and the heavy metal guy just feeds him drugs to keep him calm. So then the priest starts, he takes out a cigarette, and he's burning his feet. For some reason, then you see later he's burning crosses into his feet. Although I was never really clear on that. There must be something to that.
He's burning his own feet or the grandfather's feet?
Yes. No, his own feet.
Okay.
And I don't really know why. It wasn't clear to me what was going on there. So then he goes into a library and he steals a book. Well, he doesn't really steal it. He just opens up this thing and he starts reading the book, and they take him back to see the manager. And the manager's like, aren't you a little old to be stealing books? He's like, no, I'm not stealing it. I need information out of it. And he says, what kind of information? And he says, well, I figured out when the apocalypse is going to happen. Here, I'll explain it. And he starts writing all this stuff, and the manager's kind of looking at him like he's a nut. And he's like, yeah, everybody made this mistake. Everybody thought that, I think it's the Gospel of St. John. Is that where Revelation and all the rest of it is? I think that's where Revelations must be.
I can't remember now, but yeah,
I don't
possibly.
either. I think so. That's all that would make sense for what he's talking about. And he says, yeah, everybody thinks that there's a word or a name of the Antichrist. They all think it's that they have to figure out the name to be able to stop him. But they've got it wrong. It's not a name, it's numbers. This is all numerical. At which point I thought, oh, this reminds me a lot of Pi, where the guy figures out the numerical, like the key to all religion and whatever. Remember in Pi and the Jewish guys are after him, they all want it.
And he drills it out of his head, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think he figured out the name for God from the numbers or something, and nobody wants to know.
Yeah, the numerical name of God. Yeah,
exactly. So it's somewhat like that, where he's like, no, what I figured out is when it's going to happen. What I can't figure out yet is I figured out when, which is tonight, and what's going to happen, but I don't know exactly where. It's somewhere in Madrid. And so the manager's like, oh, okay. And he goes out. He's like, call the police. There's a madman in here. At which point the guy knocks him out because he heard him say it to his secretary. So he manages to go back to the hostel, and he's reading the book. And he says, look, I have to find this guy, the Professor Kazan guy, the guy on TV. He's like, because I need to summon the devil. And the heavy metal guy's like, oh, awesome. All right, we can go summon the devil. Sure, because he's all in this, because he's a Satanist. He's like, you're a Satanist, right? He's like, yeah, I'm a Satanist. He's like, all right, well, let's go find this guy and let's see if we can summon the devil. He's like, all right, I'm in. So they start to tail him. And all throughout the movie, you're seeing those gangs are beating up people and killing them. So you're seeing all this stuff in the background. So I knew they had to have something to do with something, because they're not just randomly showing up. I just
this is the whole the gun on the
Chekhov's
gun on the shelf.
Exactly. Yeah, this is Chekhov's gang. So they go to the guy's house and they grab him and they tie him up and they're like, okay, you have to explain how I can summon the devil. And the guy goes, I'm a fake. I don't know anything. You kidnapped a guy that you think knows something. I don't know shit, man. I just conjure all this stuff out of books I read. It's nothing. And the priest is like, well, we're going to try it anyway because the world's going to end tonight. And he says, well, how did you figure that out? And he starts spelling all this stuff out. And he says, he basically says, okay, if you put the numbers together, then you find out that it's this many years from when I think the Jewish lunar calendar goes from this date. But if you go by the solar calendar, it's this date, and that's tonight. So I have to be able to get the devil, and I have to commit as many sins as I can, which explains all the stuff he's been doing up till now, because I need the devil to think I'm one of his people. And then once I can get close to him, I can kill the Antichrist. So that's his whole thing, is I need to be evil enough that the devil will look at me and think I'm an impure priest, basically that I've turned on God. And he'll be so eager for somebody like me to be part of his group, because they make a big deal of saying that the devil's whole thing is to do everything the opposite of God. Like, his whole idea is, I want to do everything as the polar opposite because I hate God so much. So an evil priest is great. That's a big get for the devil. So he's like, so this is what I have to do. So, and the guy keeps saying, he's like, motherfucker, I don't know anything. And he's like, but all right, if you want to go by what I've read in the books, I'll tell you. He's like, here's the stuff you need. He starts listing all this stuff off. And then he gets to, and you're going to need the blood of a virgin. At which point his girlfriend shows up, and they knock her out, and they go to bleed her. And he's like, no. That's not going to work. She's not a virgin. Like, you sure? He's like, I'm sure. And so they're like, oh, shit. So then the priest goes back to the hostel. He tells the guy, watch him. I'm going to go back and get something. And he goes to the hostel, and he finds the girl that's not really the guy's girlfriend, and says, hey, you're not a virgin, are you? And she's like, oh, sure, yeah, I am. What's-his-face keeps trying to get in my pants, but it's never going to happen. And he's like, oh, okay, here, drink this. And he gives her a spiked drink, and he goes to get her blood, at which point the mother shows up with a shotgun because she talked about shooting the balls off anybody who might fuck with her daughter. And so they get into this big... She blows part of his ear off when he's hiding under a bed. And then they get into this raucous fight, at which point he kicks her over the stairwell and kills her. And then grabs the daughter, drains her blood, manages to grab the shotgun, and kind of stumbles out. He, as the movie goes on, is more and more damaged. He is just getting more and more wounded. And his
sins are being, accrued.
To some degree. He's suffering for God, all right. So he manages to go back with the blood and the shotgun, and they basically put together this thing. They have to eat the blood-soaked consecrated hosts with this magic with mushrooms in it, because you need a psychotropic. And so they do the whole ceremony, and then they stop, and they're standing there, and the priest says, why isn't anything happening? The guy goes, because I'm a fake. I told you. I don't know anything. And then they hear this noise, and they look over, and they see a cockroach. And they just kind of look at it, and the cockroach comes up to this sacred circle they drew, and it won't cross it. And the heavy metal guy's like, oh, it won't cross it. It's the devil. And the other guy's like, it's a fucking bug. It's not the devil. And then they hear another noise, and they look over, and a giant black goat with giant black horns is standing there. And the fake, the Venkman guy's like, uh-oh. And so it comes up to them, and the priest steps out of the circle, at which point the goat goes up on two legs and just kind of looks at him and then walks out. And now the guy who was the fake realizes that at least something of what he put together is real. So now he's all in on helping them. But then the cops show up because the girlfriend had broken free and gotten out and called the cops. So they start to climb down. They're climbing down the outside of the building. The Venkman guy falls, doesn't die, but kind of falls a distance and separates. So the other two have to run off. And so the TV guy goes back to his TV station and says, all right, this was all fake, but I need to find out where this thing is because this shit is happening tonight. And the TV producers all think he's nuts. Meanwhile, the the priest and the heavy metal guy find I don't know what kind of church it's supposed to be. It's not really Satanist. I would almost call it a Scientology analog of some kind. And so the guy goes in and he's like, okay, maybe you people know. I'm trying to find the Antichrist. And they all think he's nuts. So they call the cops. And the heavy metal guy comes in with the shotgun and thinks that the cops are coming. So he starts shooting everything. He doesn't shoot anybody, but he gets them out. And so they escape. And so they're kind of on the street. And at this point, the priest starts to doubt whether maybe he's starting to think that maybe he was wrong. Maybe he is insane. And the heavy metal guy's, no, man, you saw the goat. We saw the same thing. You're not crazy. And he's like, I don't know. Maybe I've kept asking God to show me a sign and nothing's happening. And before, when I've asked him for things, he's shown me signs. So maybe the sign is that I'm wrong because nothing's happening. So the heavy metal guy says, all right, wait here. I'm going to go get a car. And so he leaves. And the priest is sitting there and he happens to look over and there's an ad.
Quick question.
Yes.
Why is the heavy metal guy helping him if he's a Satanist?
Well, okay, because I think the way I interpreted it isn't that he's more like a Church of Satan Satanist, and the priest doesn't realize there's a difference. So, because the heavy metal guy doesn't really seem to be evil, he just likes to have a fun time and he likes heavy metal. So I don't think he's a biblical Satanist. I think he's a, hey, let's just fuck everything Satanist type.
Got it. Okay.
I think he's more of a hedonist than he is a Satanist, if that makes more sense. Yeah, because he's big into drugs, rock, and sex.
That was my only question.
Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't make sense either. But the way he reacts to things and his kind of general juvenile attitude, even though he's likable, he also is kind of he seems like he's supposed to be like an 18-year-old idiot. So that's my read, because otherwise you're right, it doesn't make any sense. Unless he just wanted to see Satan and that was his whole thing. But it really wouldn't make sense if you logic it out. In any event, the priest looks over and he sees an ad for satellite television, and in fact, this is all in Spanish. Por fin el cielo la envía la señal que estaba esperando. That's clearly not Italian. So, yeah, this is Spanish. In any event, what that says is, at last heaven is sending you the signal you were waiting for. And then he looks over, because at the same time, he sees a homeless guy who's throwing something out looking through the trash, and the gang shows up, and they set him on fire, and the guy burns to death right in front of him. And then he thinks about the fact that the guy gave him, so he's like, okay, this is clearly a sign. I'm supposed to be stopping this, evil. And then he remembers that band is playing called Satanica, and the name of the club they're playing is Infierno, so hell. Yeah, so it's like, well, maybe that's where it is. So he goes there, and it's a heavy metal club, and he sees a pregnant woman, and he goes up and he starts asking her stuff, and her boyfriend and his friend beat the shit out of him to the point where I thought they killed him. The heavy metal guy comes in, gets him out, and sees that on television, the no longer a fake guy, the true believer now, is having this program where he's like, if you know this priest, call me. I'm trying to get in touch with this guy. So the heavy metal guy calls in and says, yeah, I'm with him. And he says, okay, I believe you. I want to help you. We have to stop this. And the priest is like, no, he's lying. He's just going to call the cops like everybody else. He's just a liar. And he's like, no, man, I believe you. And he's like, well, I don't know that I believe me. And he's like, look, it's just like the other guy. He's like, we saw the same thing. That the goats don't just stand up and they don't just walk into apartments and look at you. There's something going on. He's like, in fact, I'll prove to you how much I believe in it. He's like, and then he says to the whole program, like everybody watches, he's like, yeah, I'm a fake. You're all idiots, but there is this shit. It is happening. He's like, there, is that proof enough? Now tell me where you are. And the priest says, I'm in hell, and then he passes out, and the cops start to show up, so he has to run. And he realizes that when he said, I'm in hell, he meant near the club. So he goes and he finds them, and he's like, okay. He's like, I looked through my book, and I realized something. The location you're looking for is in Madrid, and I know where it is. He's like, here, I'll show you. And he brings him up to this overpass, and the priest is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm right, because I should have found it by now. I've looked in like 3 different places that I was sure was it, and it's not here. And he's like, no, look in the book. He's like, Satan, when you look at all the documents that I ever found that were supposedly signed by Satan, they all have this same mark near the signature. Now, how could it be that all these different documents, if they're all fake, have the exact same signature and the same marking? And he had done a show that you see a part of where he basically exorcised a child that he thought was a fake, but then he realizes the kid actually had these marks on him. So he actually accidentally correctly exorcised a child, which is its own funny bit. He didn't mean to. He was just performing things performatively, and it happened to work. So he says, no, that kid had the things. How could the kid have known what to copy from something from the 16th century? It's obviously real. And he's like, now look. And he starts drawing with like a piece of, I don't know, something on the ground. He's like, the sign of God is the cross. And churches are basically crosses, which I don't know if that's actually architecturally sound or not, but sure, we'll go with it. He's like, so if this is the mark of Satan, then if he's trying to be the anti-God, he would make his church or his birthplace of the Antichrist the same as his mark, just the way that God did. And there happens to be in Madrid something called the Gateway to Europe, which are these two weird buildings that lean inwards, which I didn't know that that was real. And I saw that, no, that's in fact a real place. And that's what the marks resemble. So he's like, that's got to be where it is. So they go over to that area, and there's a construction site that's in front of it because they're redoing something. And they break into it, and they're looking around, and they happen to hear a baby crying. And so they go over, and they see that there's two homeless people and a baby under some cardboard. And as they're getting ready to approach them, because the priest is like, well, geez, can I really kill a child? It just so happens that the gang shows up and sees the homeless people and shoots both the people and the baby. They shoot them all and gun them down. And the priest and the heavy metal guy escape. They start to set they're getting ready to set the other guy on fire, the TV faker. And so you don't see what's going on down there, but they go up in the building. Two of the gang members chase him up. Two of the other ones are staying behind to beat up the David Tennant guy. And when they're up on the top, the priest is hiding, and the heavy metal guy's like, hide, I'll distract him, and you got to go back down there. You got to go help the other guy. And so while he's hiding, he kind of peeks out, and he sees that one of the gang members is Satan. He's this big kind of goat man. And so he's like, shit, there's Satan. So that was the Antichrist. I don't think he realizes the other guys killed the Antichrist. So he's going to leave. He tries to get out, and Satan sees him. And the heavy metal guy realizes he's going to kill the priest. And so he starts to distract him, and Satan picks him up. And while he's like laughing in his face, he's like, get out of here. Go down there. Go down there. So the priest goes down. Satan throws the heavy metal guy off the building and kills him. So the priest gets down, and that's just when they set the other guy on fire. He manages to put him out. And then he grabs a gun and shoots all of the gang members, including Satan. So he kills Satan because, now this is, I guess, depends on what you want to infer here, but to me, it just means that Satan was these gang members that were killing all these homeless people. That there wasn't really what he was looking for. I don't know whether that baby was actually the Antichrist or not. It's difficult to say because you never see the baby, so you don't really know.
It seems to get a bit muddy towards the end there.
But the thing is, I don't mind that it's like that because it just shows that, yeah, evil isn't a horned guy walking around. Evil is evil people. That the evil is us. And I'm okay with that. So he manages to kill them all. Plus, how could he just shoot Satan, right? So to me, that's him.
Well, he's removed the corporeal form at this time. That's
maybe.
all.
It doesn't really matter. So he manages to kill him. And then we cut to the next thing we see is a television program where now there's a new guy, a new faker, who says, yeah, well, I'm here to take over the show because our previous host, who was great, is mysteriously disappeared, and, we're just going to keep on doing the work of getting the occult out there. And then it cuts to 9 months later, and you see that the priest and the David Tennant guy, who basically looks like Two-Face, like he's got a burned half of his face, they're basically now homeless, and they're just kind of hanging around, and the fake guy is like watching TV. He's like, that guy sucks, man. He's going to lose all the audience that I built up. Oh, man, what was the point? And the priest is like looking at this little thing that the heavy metal guy got him, and he's kind of remembering. He's like, all right, come on, let's go. And they walk off, and that's the end of the movie. So, because the faker guy says, we saved the world and we can't tell anybody. And the priest says, yeah, but we know what we did. And then they walk off, and it pans down to apparently the only statue of Lucifer that exists in Europe. I saw that in the trivia. That's located at, hold on. The Last John of the Fountain statue is the only public tribute to Satan in the world, with the statue depicting the fallen angel. Oddly enough, the statue is 666 meters above sea level. And I didn't realize that's what it was. I just thought it was an angel.
Wait, is this the Fountain of the Fallen Angel?
That's it. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that thing. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it depicts a beautiful angel falling. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. I wonder
Apparently
why.
that's the
why
only
is
one.
Why is that there?
I don't know.
Hold on. I'm just
Is
curious.
there any
now.
information about it?
I'm
gonna look it up.
looking to find out. Let's see. The third World's Fair in Paris. After which point the piece was acquired by the Museo del Prado.
Oh,
The
here it is.
statue was later donated to the city of Madrid and inaugurated as its current location. But why was it made in the first place?
Apparently, it was a very well-known sculptor. He was inspired by Paradise Lost and is depicting Milton's version of Lucifer falling from heaven.
Okay.
Yeah, built in
I'm
1877
just amazed
by...
that
Yeah.
he got away with it. Or
Let's
is it
see,
because he's depicting evil as being fallen? I wonder if that's how he
Hold
got
on,
away with
looking
it. Because I mean, it isn't a dedication.
No,
Anything,
based
it
on
comes
this...
off like a warning.
I'm just reading through this. So, no, I think he was commissioned... Interesting. He was commissioned to make this by the Duke of Fernan Nunez. I don't know who that is. To create this one-of-a-kind statue, and although it sparked a big scandal at the time, the dramatic sculpture proved to be a great success, obtaining the first medal at the Spanish National Fine Arts Exhibition in 1878.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't... Hold on, I'm just reading. Yeah.
Yeah, it's surrounded by little demons. Look at that. That is interesting. That is something
Yeah,
I will have to see one of these days.
Yeah, I don't see anything that's more... I'm trying to find
Oh,
if
it's in
there's any
Madrid.
more-
Ah, well, that gives me
It is.
more reasons to visit Madrid.
Oh, wait, here we go. Here, I found a much more lengthy article. Okay. Let's see. Statue, blah, 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 was originally realized in plaster while he was in Rome, inspired by verses from Paradise Lost. Okay. He submitted it to the 1877 edition of something, or received first prize. The state acquired the work and presented it at an exposition. Since only works in marble and bronze were accepted, the statue was cast in bronze. At this occasion, the original was destroyed. The statue returned to Spain. The director of the museum proposed its relocation to the open space so the public could freely enjoy this peculiar and unusual creation. Wow.
Interesting.
So I guess he just
What
made
year
it and
what
then
year is
submitted
this?
it for something. 1877 is when he originally
Okay,
made
so
it.
yeah,
1878 is when
he's-
it was,
He's beyond getting burned at the stake. Okay, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this was a
Yeah,
whole thing.
It's
Wow.
a beautiful statue. And, yeah, I want to see that. The only public
world.
statue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking
But-
at different images.
But it's not really a dedication to Lucifer. It's a dedication to the fall of Lucifer.
Yes, and originally it was just him, and then they actually had some other students make the base, the gargoyles at the bottom. So originally it was not with that base and everything; it was just him.
Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't. Madrid enjoys the devil of a row over a fallen angel, but it doesn't really. Get into, I guess he just liked Milton. It doesn't have any more on it, so I don't.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Inspired by verses from Paradise Lost. So apparently he just made this and then submitted it, and that's why it picked up. I guess if you're the only person who ever sculpted Satan, or Lucifer, then I suppose you would get some attention. Fuente del Ángel Callado. I'm probably mispronouncing that.
Hold on. Give me a second.
I think I got Fuente right. I think I got Del right.
I like the
Ángel?
original. Yeah, the name too. Ángel Caído.
Ángel Caído. I was close.
It's fallen angel. Yeah, Caído is a good word. And what is the guy's name?
The guy's
Sculptor
name is
Ricardo
Ricardo
Belver.
Belivar.
Or Belver. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the pedestal was made by Francisco Harano. Probably mispronouncing that too.
It doesn't say. Yeah, with the pedestal here. You know what? Like I said, it's a good reason to go see. To go see it. Atlas Obscura.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Atlas Obscura site, and yeah.
Any more information out there, or is it just?
No,
Better
it's kind of,
pictures.
it's a
Better
shorter.
pictures.
It's a short. Better pictures, but yeah, it's a short blurb.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm realizing that I should really look at this before I travel to see if there's any weird shit where I'm going. Anyway,
It is astonishing that this is the only one in the entire world.
yeah, that's crazy.
It probably isn't, but it probably is the only one that's like this.
Well, yeah, that's out in a public park someplace.
Here we go. Here. This is a very, very telling phrase. Commonly acknowledged as the only public monument. So that probably means there's other stuff and people just don't want to say, yeah, we've got a statue of Satan in our town.
Got it, yeah.
You know what I mean? But still, I admire the fact that Madrid didn't care about the public outcry and was like, no, it's a beautiful piece of art. We're going to put it up. So fuck you. I'm always going to back that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuente de los Coyotes. There's another one.
I have to look at Atlas Obscura now for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. I have the Atlas Obscura book. It's pretty nice. I don't know if this is in it, though.
Well, there's always the problem with me. There's always new stuff, you know.
Well, that's yes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I liked it. It's definitely. I did laugh, especially at the mother, because of how brutal she just knocks people out all over the place. So, and there's an absurdity. It's more of an absurdist movie than I would call it a specific comedy. There are funny moments, but it's not a lightweight. It's not like, say, Shaun of the Dead or something like that, where it's a horror comedy that way. It's not that overt of a comedy.
Yeah.
It's more of the absurdity of the fact that this priest is doing terrible things, and you know that the heavy metal guy is all in on, oh yeah, let's summon the devil, like that type of thing. So, just because I saw it described as a horror comedy, and that might set certain people up with the wrong expectation. But I really liked it, and I liked the characters a lot, because the priest is clearly weighed down by what he feels like is, you know, obviously I have to save the world, but he clearly doesn't want to be the one doing this. He's not a
he
field
has to be
agent.
Awful. He needs to be terrible
Yes.
to save the world. Yeah.
Yes, but also he clearly doesn't think that he's the right person for this.
You know what
believes
would have made the movie better for me?
Yeah.
Is if the priest had killed the child.
So originally, I think that was supposed to happen, but they felt like, I think they said they felt it would make him too unlikable.
And the thing is that's what he set out the whole movie to do. So narratively, it feels like he should have been the one to do that.
But I will say, I don't mind that he didn't, because it does feel like he might not be able to do it. Like, he's not the guy you would send for this. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, honestly,
in the original script, it was the priest who killed him.
I would have. Well, the way I would have done it is I would have had the priest try to do it, not be able to do it, and have the heavy metal guy do it, and then be killed by Satan. And that keeps everything, in a very Shakespearean way, that keeps everything secure, because yes,
Sure.
the heavy metal guy killed a child and was punished for it.
Yeah.
And then the priest kills Satan and everybody else.
I will say, though, oh, by the way, the place that they go to is a real place called the Kio Towers, K-I-O Towers. That is where it takes the finale takes place, and that's the Leaning Towers, which I don't know why they're like that, but the Gate of Europe, that's what they're called, or it's called. The only thing, though, that I do like about the gang killing them is there's an irony in that Satan is basically betrayed by buffoons on his own team. There is something nice about that.
Is he angry with them when they do it?
Well, by the time he gets down there, they're all dead, and then he gets shot because the other two guys had gotten shot before he shows up.
Yeah.
So whether he's angry or not, you don't get enough. He's not alive long enough to tell. But I do like the idea that, evil is not going to necessarily listen to what you want.
Well, no, evil is evil. You know what?
I don't
There's a certain type of
disagree
villainy.
with you that it would have been good if he'd done it too, but I don't mind it the way the movie does it.
Well, there's a certain type of villainy that follows its own rules, and there's just a certain type of villainy that's just blind evil.
Yeah,
and blind evil can turn on anybody.
And to some degree, fascists generally don't like religion, so there's sort of a, well, you picked a bad team there, bro, type of thing. So,
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't disagree with you that I really did think he was going to shoot the kid. But I don't mind the way the movie gets around that.
Listen, it's funny that they were even willing to tackle the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The fact that kid gets just shot casually.
And how old is the kid?
It's a newborn. That kid is a
Oh,
newborn.
wow.
Yeah, no, it's very clearly that's the thing, is the baby was just born. So, yeah. Now they don't graphically show, you just see the bodies piled up, but you don't see the dead baby with a gunshot in his face or anything. It didn't go assault on Precinct 13 or anything. But they do just casually blow the whole family away just because they're homeless. So there's another thing, is that's the real evil, is these guys who don't even care that there's a baby there. They're just like, nope, homeless, kill them. So I don't know that I could say it's a lightweight movie, but
Well, it sounds like it's got light elements to it, but yes, they're dealing with heavy concepts overall.
yes, yeah. But it is somewhat absurd in its kind of general tone, so I think that sort of diffuses it.
Sure.
I had a good time with it. I liked it. It's definitely not an American film. I can tell you that. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
When the Italians and the Spaniards get together, you get some good stuff sometimes. And that's the case with this. So I enjoyed it. Like I said,
tell people where they can watch it.
Well, and the interesting part is this movie's from 1995, and I generally don't like a lot of horror films from the 90s. So this is an unusual one. Oh, this is everywhere. You can see this for free on. I watched it on Tubi. It says here, it's included with Prime. Oh, well, then no, they have ads now, so same difference. It's on Freevee. It's on Pluto. It's on Screenbox. It's all over.
I don't
I
even
would
know
say
what
Tubi.
half of those are.
Yeah, nobody does. But you can watch it for free on Tubi, so that's where I would say go, because Tubi's ads are probably the least obnoxious. Technically, Primes are shorter, but they irritate me more because I pay for Prime, so fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
So somehow,
that makes sense to me. No, that makes sense. The fact that you're paying for it and then you're getting ads is a greater, betrayal.
It's a greater sin. Wordplay. Yeah. So, yeah, you can watch it anywhere. For free.
Oh, there you go.
What's the matter?
You got any last words for the year?
No. Do I have any last words for the year?
Yeah.
Don't shoot homeless people with a crying baby, I guess. Unless you're a Satanist,
Yes.
who's also a fascist.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Unless you want to be a Fatanist, I don't know.
What? A Fatanist?
A fascist Satanist.
Oh, okay.
Fatanist.
Fatanist.
Fashionist.
Fashionista.
Don't well, no, fashionista is something else. No, happy 2025 or something. I don't know.
Well, it's been an interesting year, and it's going to be an interesting couple of years here on.
Oh well, yeah,
so.
yeah. Buckle in, I guess.
There you go. That's really the tag phrase for the coming year.
There you go. Yeah.
Buckle in, folks.
Hold on to something reliable, if there is such a thing.
But no, you know what? I'm not in a negative. Despite the amount of negative shit going on, I don't have a negative view at the end of the year. I'm actually, I have my hopes, and they're mine, and they're not necessarily all encompassing, but I have my hopes. So.
Oh, good.
You know, we'll go into the new year hoping for better things.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
You know, anything's possible.
There, that's a nice way to end.
But we brought the show in at under 2 hours.
Yeah, so I don't have to play my sound.
That's like a Christmas miracle right there.
It is. There you go. The true miracle was the fact that we didn't go for 3 hours. And the friends we met along the way. So, there you go, everybody. Happy end of the year.
Something. Happy something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever your something may be, happy that.
Anything's possible. So, yeah. Okay. Bye.
You struggle with positivity, don't you?
Well, yeah.
Usually I'm the one that struggles with it, but I'm
actually
hopeful,
no.
So.
It just occurred to me. Day of the Beast is a Christmas movie. So go watch that if you haven't. If you're looking for a Christmas movie, Day of the Beast is a Christmas movie. It takes place on December 25th.
You know what? I'll give you something weird to end on here. Did you see that Arnold Schwarzenegger is playing Santa Claus?
I did see that. That's fine.
And honestly, I saw it and I was like, I'm good with that. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's
that guy dominated so much of my youth that I'm totally fine with old Arnold being my Santa Claus.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you want him doing?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
You want him to be Liam Neeson, who keeps moving increasingly ridiculous action films? I mean, I know the guy's got to eat, but it's just silly at this point.
Oh, he's having a good time.
I don't know.
So,
Sometimes
there
I
you
don't think
go.
he is. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? He's getting paid.
Ho, ho, ho. It's not a tumor.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.